I want to welcome everyone again to the webinar, and thanks for taking the time to meet with us. Before we get started, we wanted to sort of catch some of you up on who exactly Back to Work is and what it's designed to do. But Back to Work, or BWI as we often call it, is a broad coalition of civic, business, community, and labor organizations that's dedicated to the successful implementation of Illinois' capital investment plan. We've worked across the state in over 102 counties, in each of the 102 counties, and each of the districts in the General Assembly in the state of Illinois. And we've continued to focus our efforts on the capital plan and the means to fund it, of course, of which the video gaming is the primary source, and we'll get that into that a little bit more. But we wanted to always remind people of the broad cross-section of interest in the state that have a stake in the successful implementation of the capital plan and what it means not only for those organizations, but the broader economy, the environment, and the quality of life in the state. So we have a select list of logos here. But before we get into the ups and downs of the system and where we stand today, we want to remind everyone of what it's designed to fund and why it's so important.
So as you may or may not know, the state is facing very serious critical capital needs. The coalition of basically the condition of our infrastructure is quickly deteriorating, and the years of disinvestment further complicate the problem with costly solutions. Nationally, our lack of investment in infrastructure has put us at a disadvantage on a global scale, as demonstrated by the ranking released by the World Economic Forum in November of 2007, and that's what you'll see on your screen right now. The American Society of Civil Engineers released its report card for America's infrastructure in January of 2009. On your screen, you'll see the Illinois report card, and it's not a pretty picture. The report card reflects our deteriorating bridges, antiquated signaling systems, and old water pipes and aged rail network. Right now, you'll see the just a few shots of the images of the infrastructure and how bad it really is right now. Aside from the items listed on the report card, Illinois also faces other needs, including community development projects such as park and recreational facilities, healthcare centers, including hospital construction and clinics, as well as affordable housing. They also include projects for veterans and people with disabilities. We must invest in Illinois' levees, ensuring that the flood walls and drainage structures will be able to protect our communities from natural occurrences and damage, while our drinking water must also be clean, safe, and treated appropriately. Our state needs money to fix the state facilities and instill weatherization and energy efficiency programs, measures that will end up saving our state quite a bit of money. We need to know that our children's schools are safely maintained and are healthy environments for them to learn in. Once in the classroom, students need access to technology using computers that will help them be competitive one day in the workforce. We understand all these needs, and yet our state has been slow to adequately fund Illinois' infrastructure. Our last capital plan was passed over a decade ago in 1999. Meanwhile, our infrastructure waits for investment in a time when our state's unemployment has been at the highest level since 1985, and Illinoisans desperately wait for the chance to work again. All the while, our infrastructure falls deeper and deeper in disrepair. In 2009, the Illinois General Assembly came together to pass the Illinois Jobs Now plan with strong bipartisan support in both the Senate and the House.
So the critical question after sort of a general acknowledgement of our infrastructure needs is, how do you pay for it? So while passing the capital plan wasn't easy, it paled in comparison to the challenges facing in order to reach an agreement on how to fund it. So despite broad support for the critical projects, there was a lack of agreement on how to fund paying for those projects. Numerous alternatives were considered, including gas and cigarette taxes, among others, but they all lacked political support. Video gaming, however, did have broad bipartisan statewide support as a funding mechanism for the $31 billion capital plan, which would create or sustain more than 400,000 jobs over 5 years and address critical projects across the state. But what exactly was approved. And this is where there's been a lot of misinformation, both intentional and unintentional, unintentionally distributed across the state. So it's important that when we discuss video gaming, we clearly define what it means. For starters, video gaming devices are highly technical, modern terminals with digital touch screen displays. And the VGA, the Video Gaming Act, placed betting limits on the proposal of $2, which is the same limit included in the state's law governing charity and church bingo games. Video gaming machines are not allowed in unregulated locations as they have been in the past. Now, under the VGA, in order to operate a video gaming machine, the establishment must possess an eligible liquor license, typically meaning bars and restaurants that serve alcohol on the premises, not retail liquor stores, for instance. Other locations, though, include bars, restaurants, fraternal, and veterans organizations that would be allowed to host a maximum of 5 gaming terminals in a supervised area that would only have access for those over the age of 21. The machines would be closely monitored and would be directly connected to a state-managed central system. Each machine would have to be licensed by the Illinois Gaming Board and directly connected to the state central system, very similar to the Illinois Lottery, which already manages and monitors more than 7,500 terminals in the state. Today's machines, by contrast, are completely unregulated and not monitored by the state. For example, the Act would eliminate what is known as gray games, which operate without any oversight, by creating a new regulated license system. Possession of non-authorized machines would be categorized as a Class 4 felony with fines up to $25,000 and up to 3 years in the state penitentiary. Because of the video gaming law, Illinois would have a better handle on video gaming industry and greater authority over their use and placement. In addition, the law has a strong endorsement from a number of organizations, and the law enforcement provisions of the Act are recognized by many law enforcement experts as a vast improvement over the current situation in the state of Illinois. For instance, the Sun-Times has reported that there are approximately 40,000 unregulated machines operating in Illinois without any oversight. The new system will be able to track and monitor not only the individuals that operate and host the machines, but all the financial transactions that occur at any hosted location. A pretty significant improvement over the status quo and what we have today.
Additionally, cash-strapped local governments will be able to collect approximately $11,250 in new revenue for every establishment with 5 terminals in operation. These revenues would be unrestricted and could be used to meet the immediate needs of the local government. This would be in addition to any new taxes generated from new or saved jobs in the hospitality and tourism industries. Unfortunately, a total of about 80 communities have opted out of the video gaming law. Since Back to Work's involvement in spring of 2010, there have been increased education efforts on the value of video gaming law brings to local communities. Because of this work, you'll notice there's a dramatic decrease in the opt-outs that's shown in this chart. When educating the public of the benefits, and more importantly, the current process for regulating the video gaming industry, communities tend not to opt out. When communities do opt out, it lessens the amount of revenue able to fund the capital plan and jobs for working families in Illinois. Residents are eager to get back to work. Greater oversight of the video gaming needs to be in place. We need this capital plan and should support the funding source.
So that sort of brings us up to date of where we are today. So earlier this year, the validity of coupling the capital plan and its various funding sources has been questioned in the courts. The single subject definitions in the Illinois State Constitution attempt to limit how many pieces of information or different types of subject matter can be included in one piece of legislation. While most observers, including those in the General Assembly who approved the plan, believe that the capital plan and its various funding mechanisms, which include video gaming but also other funding streams, do pass the single subject test, a lawsuit has been filed to question whether or not that is in fact the case. Through that lawsuit, the linking of the video gaming funding mechanism and the capital plan has been challenged. On May 17th, the Illinois Supreme Court will hear oral arguments in the case to determine if the process by which the capital plan was passed is constitutional. It's an important distinction, and not to get too into the legal ins and outs of the proposal, but the various subject matters in the law, whether it's video gaming, a list of capital projects, the other taxes included in the plan, those subjects are not at question. This is not a case attempting to determine whether or not video gaming should be passed or implemented in the state of Illinois. This case is looking at the process by which the Illinois General Assembly approved the plan. It's a little bit challenging to communicate that in a soundbite, but this is not a referendum on video gaming. This is a discussion on how the Illinois General Assembly acted. And so we think it's an important distinction to bear in mind as the media and local officials continue to hear more about this. We want to make sure that the purpose and the question is clear. It's not a video gaming referendum. It's a discussion of how it was implemented. So the Supreme Court obviously can go two ways with their decision. If they uphold the legislation as it was passed by the Illinois General Assembly, we will be operating in a system much like we did earlier in 2010, whereby individual communities will have an opportunity to opt out of the Video Gaming Act as originally intended in the legislation. And then some communities that might have standing opt-out ordinances or statutes would have to be opted back in. If, however, the Supreme Court decides that the method by which the Illinois Capital Plan was passed was not constitutional, we have a very challenging situation in which the General Assembly will have to weigh in again on not only the projects, which means important investments in all of our communities and thousands of jobs for Illinois residents, but they will have to work through individual votes on funding the capital plan, which would include the Video Gaming Act. So it's an important distinction to clarify what the Supreme Court is debating, but either way, there's a lot of work to do for the Back to Work Coalition and those that support this new investment opportunity in the state of Illinois. We have to convince and educate not only local lawmakers, but members of the media and statewide officials on the strong support that the Video Gaming Act enjoys.
While we await the Illinois Supreme Court's decision, we're really looking to you, our partners, to help us get involved and be active with the coalition. Regardless of the outcome, there's going to be a significant amount of work to educate, inform, and engage leaders at the local, regional, and state level throughout Illinois. We're currently working on creating a series of letters to the editor across the state, and we're going to be looking for people to help us sign these letters and reach out to others, including local elected officials, county governments, and other stakeholders, as I said, across the state. Our coalition is growing, and we're looking to supporters like you to help us work together as we invest in the future of Illinois. Please sign up for the latest updates on our website, www.backtoworkillinois.com, or you can also call us at 312-772-2894. The information is on your screen right now. We hope this webinar was helpful. We have been recording the webinar and we'll be posting it on our website. And in addition, we'll be able to send you as a person who signed up on our website and with our coalition, we'll be able to send you some additional information as we get closer to the May 17th date, and then afterwards as we await the decision of the Illinois Supreme Court. So with that, we wanted to thank you for your participation and for your attention.